How's it going, you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Home Repairs, and today I want to show you how to quickly handle a leak in a copper water pipe. Now, there are a bunch of different scenarios, but we'll look at mostly pinhole leaks and how to temporarily fix those until you can get your permanent solution in place, and then also address that permanent solution where you do not have to break out your torch and do any soldering. For your reference, I have 68 PSI being provided by my house, and you should, for your own house, be between about 40 and 80 PSI. You don't really want to go past 80 PSI because that can be detrimental to your fixtures, and specifically the valves and the O-rings and seals within them. For the temporary solutions, I'm going to test them side by drilling 4 holes in this copper pipe, turning the water pressure off, but still leaving the pipe a little wet, and then apply each of these solutions before applying the pressure again to see if all of them hold, none of them hold, or maybe a few work better than others. Then I'll show you that permanent solution for pinhole leaks, which is approachable by any DIYer. And also, if you have a frozen pipe or a much larger leak, how do you address that still without calling in a professional or having to solder any new copper pipe in place? So let's jump in and start testing out these temporary solutions. We'll be using flex tape in the number 1 spot, then JB Weld fiber weld in the number 2. Number 3 is a simple repair clamp from Ace, and 4 is just a band clamp with a piece of rubber. Turning off the water, I'll wipe it down, but not go aggressively, knowing there's going to be a little water on the pipes when you're trying to do this. Taking the flex tape, I'll size it up, and then I'll just score that, getting the piece I need. But don't forget, there is a thin film on the backside that you need to remove. And then that's going to give you your sticky side you'll apply to the copper pipe. And I'm going to do about 1.5 wraps, tightly wrapping that and then pressing it on all sides. Then moving on to JB Weld, the fiber weld product, there's 3 parts of this. There's the epoxy, 2-part epoxy you see here that you need to knead together into a consistent dark gray. And then you'll just apply that to the actual problem area with the pinhole leak. Next up is a wrap that is all sorts of messy. You got to apply that into water, let it sit for 10 to 15 seconds, and then you're going to wrap around the epoxy that you applied. And you want to have 3 to 5 wraps around the actual pinhole leak. Again, this takes a long time, and this is actually at 8x speed. This one is by far the longest to apply. Then the last step of this is a bandage. So that's going to hold everything together, so you will pull that tight, wrap it around, and then secure it. Number 3, we'll move on to the clamp. This is very simple. 2 metal plates, 1 on each side with a piece of rubber that will actually do the sealing. So you put your bolts and nuts opposing sides, tighten those up to try to get a consistent pressure right at that leak. So you want to get the pressure of the rubber right at your pinhole leak. Again, alternate sides as you tighten this up, and that's all there is to this one. Now number 4 will go on to my favorite, because this you might actually have around the house. A piece of rubber, could be from a bicycle inner tube, and a band clamp. Undo the band clamp, put it around the copper pipe, make sure everything fits up, and then start to tighten up that band clamp, getting it close to where you need it, and then slip the piece of rubber underneath, right on the pinhole leak, trying to get as much pressure right over the pinhole leak as possible. And here are the final products. Here's your flex tape in the number 1, then the JB Weld number 2, Ace Hardware repair kit number 3, and just a simple band clamp and a piece of rubber in number 4. So we're ready to go, and now once this ball valve is open, 68 PSI will pressurize this test section of the copper tube. But I want to know what you guys think. What is going to be the one that does the best job either slowing down the leak or stopping the leak? Is it Flex Seal? Is it the JB Weld? Is it the Ace clamp, or is it a band clamp? Go down in the comments, let me know, and I'll take the first few 100 comments together and I'll show the percentages of which was the favorite in a pinned comment at the top of the overall comment section. And then keep in mind, this is the temporary solution. I have 2 permanent solutions coming up, which are so easy that unless you have some of these products on hand, you're probably just going to go right for that permanent solution. But let's see how we did with these 4. Kicking things off here, we'll go ahead and pressurize the pipe. And what I'm looking to do is let this set for 30 minutes because that's a good test if you need to make plans or go down to the hardware store. Can this slow down or stop the leak in 30 minutes? Now, focusing in here on the flex tape, you're going to start to see some movement and some bubbling, which is not a promising sign. And within 30 seconds, the flex tape already let loose and we have a huge leak. Now, I want to continue to test the others because they haven't failed yet. So I'm going to cut out the flex tape section and then just modify the rig, shorten things up a little bit. So then we can test these other 3 and see if they'll hold for a half an hour or more. Connect that back up. And now we can repressurize the system, testing things out again. So I actually let these sit for over an hour and the system is still pressurized, and the JB weld, the ace clamp, and the band clamp with rubber all pass with flying colors. Now, if you have a leak, obviously you should be turning off your water, but sometimes maybe you can't turn off your water or you need to repressurize the system because you're waiting on a plumber or a permanent solution and you need some of these temporary fixes. If you have some time and you want to just jump to the permanent solution, turn off your water, get the parts needed, and get your problem solved. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do a pinhole leak, how to fix that permanently, and then also a blowout like this, which would be more common when you see a frozen pipe that bursts and you have a massive leak. With the pinhole leak, what we're going to do is just cut right on that pinhole location. So I'll use a 1/2-inch auto cutter, and if you need a reference for this tool and the other tools I'm using, just look down below the video. You'll see a link to our Amazon store, and then in the plumbing general section, you'll see these auto cutters. And if you need all those shark bite fittings we're using or tools, there is a plumbing shark bite section for your reference. So we'll just cut that open. And one of the 2 things people do wrong with shark bites is coming up, and that is you need to clean that cut. You don't want any copper slivers, also known as burrs, to damage the internal O-ring. And then also you need to mark on the pipe, this is 15/16, which corresponds to a 1/2-inch shark bite. And that is how far the fitting needs to be inserted onto the pipe to get a good seal. Should be referenced that you can get 1/2-inch plugs if you just want to plug your line, which are extremely convenient, and I recommend just having on hand. Or if you have an active leak, cannot turn it off, a 1/2-inch ball valve is awesome, can go on that active water leak and then be shut off. It's kind of an amazing feature, especially if you have that scenario. Here's our 1/2-inch coupling, which will be our permanent fix with a 25-year warranty for a situation such as this. Now you need a little flexibility in those copper pipes to get this to fit on. If you do not have flexibility, this second solution is actually going to be a preferred solution for you. And that is if you have a larger section, a pipe that burst and actually is damaged 1 inch or 1.5 inches or more, you can use a slip coupling from SharkBite. You'll use that slip coupling to mark on your pipe on where you want to make your cut lines. And that's easily to reference. You can just see on the coupling itself. You want to be within that internal body to make sure both sides seal with the O-ring. Get out that same auto cut tool, do a few rotations, and cut out that bad section of copper pipe. We're going to do an inside-outside ream, making sure no burrs. And then again, you want to have your reference marks to make sure you're installing correctly. You'll start off by the side that you actually want to slip. So it's going to go way past your reference mark to give you clearance to get the slip coupling on your kind of fixed distance. So you move it past that where it's lining up to your pipe, and then you can get it in place. Then you need to use a release tool. This is a little fancier release tool, easier to use, but you can just also use the orange 1/2-inch release tool that comes with, or a crescent wrench works as well. You just need to release the shark teeth to move it along the pipe, making sure you get the correct depth on the other side. So that covers your temporary solutions and also your permanent repair solutions. Now when it comes to temporary, if I was going to do any of those, even though 3 really passed the test, this band clamp with a scrap piece of rubber is one I might use. But after you see these permanent solutions, you see how easy they are, where you probably wouldn't even do those temporary, you just go right to the permanent. I always have 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch caps with me, and also 1/2 inch ball valves just for that scenario. If I need to stop the leak, I can't turn my main off for whatever reason, and I need to go get a coupling or a slip coupling, that's gonna hold me over for the 30 minutes to get what I need and then get that permanent solution in place. Now, some feedback I'm sure I'm gonna get is it's just better to sweat on 2 couplers and a cut piece of copper in the middle for a truly permanent solution. And I agree, that is the best if you have those skills and are comfortable with soldering or sweating copper pipe. But to be clear, in my area, if you called a professional, they came out to fix it, there's probably about a 3 out of 4 chance that they're just gonna use a press fitting. And a press fitting also uses O-rings to seal, just like a shark bite does. Now, if you want to know more about press fittings, because in certain scenarios they are also approachable by DIYers, check out this video right here and I'll introduce you to a crimping tool that does not cost thousands of dollars. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on that next one. Take care.